I want to call to order the Odessa City Council meeting, February 23rd, the year 2021. I'd like to start off with item one, the invocation. Councilman Steve Thompson, will you do us the honor of leading us in prayer?
My pleasure. Heavenly Father, bless this meeting. Watch over us as we go through these items. Thank you for all your thoughts and prayers during my last absence. I appreciate so much everyone. I apologize for able to be with you, and I hope the decisions are discussed help us make a good decision. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Also, you have the honor to lead us in the pledge, both the U.S. pledge and the Texas pledge. Will you do so?
I will, sir. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag,
United States,
United States of America, and to
to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Texas flag.
Honor the
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you very much. We're going to move on to item 3, proclamations, awards, and presentations. I'd like to take this time to welcome our outgoing judge, Judge Carol Gregg. We want to be able to give her a thank you and appreciation for 13 years of service. Judge Craig came on to municipal court in January of 2007 and served through December 31st of the year 2020. Judge Gregg, you are on with us. Would you like to say a few words, if you don't mind, please? Is she on? Is the judge on with us?
she's not.
I don't see her on.
No.
She's user 2.
She's muted.
She's muted. She needs to unmute herself.
There you go.
Judge, did you unmute yourself? Is she still muted? City Secretary, is she still muted?
If she is caller user 2, no, sir, she's not, nor 3 is muted.
So we just can't hear her then. Okay.
Mayor, we're going to have to get that plaque to Judge Gregg if she hadn't already gotten it.
It will be delivered tomorrow. I've already made arrangements.
Okay. Well, it looks like we're having some technical difficulties. We're going to go ahead and move on. Sorry about that, but we want to give out a huge thank you to Judge Carol Gregg for her long tenured service to the City of Odessa Municipal Court and the citizens of this community. Is very well deserved, and we wish her luck and Godspeed in her retirement, and she will be missed. Judge, we will miss you. Thank you for everything you've done for this city and this community and the law community. We're going to move on to item 4, consent agenda. It will be items A through F. Take a moment to look them over. If anybody has any questions.
Yeah, we need to remove item F from the consent agenda because we're going to discuss that tonight.
Okay, Will you make a motion, Councilman Sprouls, and do I have a second for removing item F, consider contract extension for tire replacement and repair? Do you have a motion and a second?
Like that.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilman Sprouls. Who's my second? Steve? Okay, we have a second from Councilman Thompson. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 All opposed indicate by saying nay. Motion passes to remove item F. Do I have,
I make a motion that we accept the consent agenda.
thank you. I have a motion by Councilman Sprouls and a second.
I second it.
I have one by Councilman Mata. All in favor of accepting the consent agenda minus item F? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 All opposed indicated by saying nay. Motion passes. Next item, we will consider item F. Consider contract extension for tire replacement and repair. Assistant City Manager Philip, Ureta, is the Assistant City Manager on?
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, Council, thank you for allowing me to address this item before you again. I know Member Sprouls and several members of the council had questions, and I apologize that I did not explain it clearly, but I will take the time to go over this contract extension once again. This is a contract that was originally approved by the City Council in December 12th, 2017. It was with a contract with GCR Tire for the service of all fleet tires for the city. We have over 800 vehicles in our fleet, ranging from trailers to backhoes. So it's a very diverse fleet. And GCR, who has now been bought out by Southern Tire Mart, is able to handle all of our fleet tire needs. This is a one-year renewal for the contract. Yeah, the contract renewal will begin this year for another year. The total contract price is $700,000, and I wanted to correct what was stated at the work session. We originally had a fee labeled of $300,000 annually for the contract, and what that $300,000 annually was the management fee, the labor costs, and the labor costs associated with the contract. And there was confusion came in, and where it was improperly labeled on our end or my end for the agenda item was that it's a total cost of $700,000. That includes the management fee, the labors, the repairs, the retread, and the purchase of tires. So again, it's a one-year contract renewal for a not to exceed amount of $700,000 for the city's fleet. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Sprouls, you have some questions?
Yes, I do. I think I was supposed to have received a breakdown on this in the parts contract. I agree with what we're doing here. I think that Southern Tire Mart can do a much better job with trained people than we can. However, I would still like to see the detail. We're talking about a lot of money here.
Yes, sir. It is an expensive contract, and I believe Mr. Marrero sent that out in his weekly report to council on Friday, but I can definitely get that information to you. I can tell you I have the information in front of me that in 2019, the fiscal year 2019, we spent just over $325,000 for tire repair for the city. That contract increased to $661,000 in 2020. And in 2020 is when we incorporated in the additional services of having Southern Tire Mart staff on site at solid waste, actively doing repairs rather than taking the repairs directly to the Southern Tire Mart shop on I-20. This also is the opportunity for us to have our solid waste fleet maintained. They are our biggest users of tires. I think we discussed last week, they're in and out of the landfill, they're in and out of alleys, and this contract does allow for our tires at solid waste to be maintained in a more efficient manner.
So Philip, this is This is Steve.
Yes, sir.
700,000, that didn't include the tires. That's just but we pay for the tires and use them, correct?
No, sir. So the 700,000 does include the cost of the tires, but that portion of the 700,000 is 300,000 of that is the actual management fee, labors, and repairs. The rest of that is the purchase of tires.
Okay.
So it's close 50/50. It's labor and costs and tires. So
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
Philip, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So who keeps up? I know we have a contract with them, but who actually keeps up with the breakdown of the parts besides the tires? Do we have breakdowns with invoices, or do we just sign the contract?
No, ma'am. So we receive invoices for every repair that is done on tires, and that is logged in our equipment services department. Both Jackie Perez and Eddie Molinar are responsible for making sure those invoices are received and paid, and we actually log those costs for each tire repair per vehicle unit. So when we look at the life of a vehicle, we can see what parts have been put on it, what tire repairs have been put on it. So we do account for all of those costs and we review those repairs.
Good.
Philip,
Okay.
I'm looking at this weekly report that I received Friday, and I don't see anything in here about tires and parts. I'm sorry, maybe I'm missing it.
Tom, I sent that out as part of my weekly information. I included that in the body of the email.
Yeah, but I was hoping to get a little more detail. Okay, my question then, how do we know that we're getting a decent price on these tires?
Yes, sir. So our tires through Southern Tire Mart are part of a government contract. So they are pre-bid contracts. And if a tire needs to be repaired or replaced, those are reviewed with the fleet department and also the department that is bringing the vehicle in for service as well. So I'll tell you, we have set costs on tires. For example, the police department, they have a special tire that goes on their police vehicles that are pursuit rated tires. There's a set price from Goodyear for that tire. So that price is always going to consistently be charged. We do look for economical tires. I will tell you that we're not putting BF Goodwrench tires on our vehicles. We are putting dependable, reliable tires on the vehicles, but we're not necessarily putting name brand tires on the vehicles.
But have these tire prices been compared with any other companies, like maybe Forest Tires or anybody else?
Councilmember, yes, sir. So I will tell you that our tire prices with Southern Tire Mart are comparable to other groups. Now, I can't say that I've specifically compared them to Forest, but these prices are part of a state contract agreement that allow us to get a state procured price for the tires.
Is this a cost plus?
Yes, sir, it is.
Cost plus how much?
10% is what's added for the management fee.
Okay, so the state has, similar to a buy board, gotten tire prices and made it available to the municipalities, and then they're adding 10% on it?
Yes, sir, and that's allowed through the agreement for the management fees. Well, we could buy the tires straight from Southern Tire Mart, but then we would have the duty on our end to mount, balance the tires, which we don't have that capability in our shop at this point.
I get it. I agree with the idea of using Southern Tire Mart or someone else. I like that. I just want to make sure we're getting our bang for the buck. How many? I know this. I'm here getting into the details, but how many truck tires did we replace last year?
Councilmember Sprouls, I don't have that in front of me at this time, but I can get that information to you.
Okay. Well, $300,000 is, you can hire some pretty decent folks. I know that that's expensive. Those pickups are expensive. I get it. But I just would like to see a little more detail.
Yeah.
And I guess there are certain safety and quality standards that have to be met by Southern Tire Market to ensure that the everything is safe there? I mean, they have their own standards, or do they go off the standards the city has, or?
Councilmember Mata, are you asking about the safety standards that they
Yes.
operate in?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So they are a firm that's accredited by the state through the state contract. I will tell you that our fleet manager, Eddie Molinar, does look at their work. And I know Councilmember Mata, we specifically talked about retreading work last time.
Right.
Those
Yes,
are
sir.
definitely cost-saving measures, but those are definitely types of tires we have to pay special attention to. So I know our fleet manager and definitely our solid waste superintendent look at those tires and make sure that they are the quality that's out there. And I know that we put a lot of lives in our hands. As we go back to the police department, there has to be a specific tire on those vehicles, and we ensure that it's a safe tire. They understand the severity of that to make sure it's a safe tire. The same with our fire trucks. That's 30,000 pounds of truck rolling down the road that needs to be on a safe tire. So we do ensure that those are safe out there.
Very good. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Philip, this 10%, is that basically the 10% is added on because we have the personnel on site versus us purchasing the tire, having them done on their site? Is that where
Yes.
we're seeing the increase?
Yes, sir. That's a portion of it, but then we're also paying a portion of that for them to invoice us and things of that nature. So some of their overhead and behind the scene costs that are associated with it. But Mayor, it is a bulk of the cost is related to the actual on-site repair of tires. And Mayor, in that email that Mr. Marrero sent out last Friday, I would like to point out that when we were going to Southern Tire Mart for repair, we were unfortunately in line with probably every other oil field company in our area or a heavy truck company in our area out at Southern Tire Mart. So there were times where police vehicles, solid waste vehicles were being taken off the street for 3 to 4 hours for tire repair, tire replacement. But us having this tire capability at our city shop definitely expedites the service and puts these vehicles back into service for the citizens of Odessa.
In the future, would you, when we're looking at these type of situations, would you be able to, I know it'll take a little time, but add into it non-production times for weight and things of that nature and associated costs to that? That would be able to help, it would help the council to be able to ascertain how many man hours was lost of non-production time on waiting, having personnel out there on the clock, sitting and waiting in line, things of that nature. I know we've done it in the past, and it really helps to be able to make it a more of assessment when looking at those. The other thing is, when is the contract expired, and when does this one take effect?
Yes, sir. So this is a 1-year contract renewal.
Mhm.
What we're seeking is for this contract to be retroactive, starting back February 1st, going until next year. And we do have the option, if council wishes for us to seek a different state contract bid. I will tell you, we do typically have difficulty getting individuals to bid on this contract based on the diversity of our fleet. With the wide range of tires that we service, there's usually some groups that can handle certain types of tires, but typically Southern Tire Mart can handle anything that we hand them.
Understand. Is council, where's the, we have any more discussion? Councilman Sprouls, are you comfortable going forward? Would you, do you have a motion to table the item?
No,
How would you like to proceed, sir?
I think we need to table this. I'd still like to see a little more detail than what we've gotten in. I think this is a good way for the city to handle its tire business, its parts business. I get that. I just would like to see what we're getting ready to spend a hell of a lot of money here.
Sir?
I grew up in Yoakum County, and that's real money there.
Oh, that's real money in Odessa, Texas, too.
Philip, when was the last time that we tried looking for somebody else to take care of this service? How long ago was that?
Council member, the last time we bid this contract out was December of 2017. So we've renewed this contract annually since then.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
So Councilmember Sprouls, this is Michael. We'll get you more detail in terms of what we spent over the last, I think I provided what we spent over the last 2 years, but if you would like detail beyond that, or if you would like more specific detail on individual tires and costs associated with each tire, is that the sort of detail you're looking for, Tom?
Yes, it is. I'm not trying to be difficult here.
No, not at all.
I want to get my arms around this thing.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, I've gone back through your weekly report and I didn't see it yet. So I still haven't seen anything of detail.
Okay,
Well-
Tom, we'll certainly gather that information and send it to all the council.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I move we table this discussion for next meeting.
Okay, so we have a motion to table item F until the next meeting, until we're able to ascertain more information. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. I think it was Mr. Thompson that put in the second. All those in favor of the motion to table item F indicate by saying aye.
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 All opposed indicate by saying nay.
Nay.
Okay, we have 6 yeas and 1 nay. The item is tabled to the next city council meeting. Thank you very much, Philip.
Sir.
Okay, we're going to move on to other council action. We're going to move to item 1. We are going to consider accepting a donation from the Chuck Wagon Community Fund Incorporated to the Odessa Police Department. Chief Gerke.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. This is a request to accept a donation from the Chuck Wagon Gang Community Fund in an amount of $52,000. There was a Back the Blue event at the Coliseum back in October, and the group decided that all the funds raised would be split. So this is our portion, and tremendously generous portion, $52,000. We can do a lot with that. We have that earmarked for virtual trainers for our new training center, shoot, don't shoot, de-escalation, officer decision-making training, that sort of thing.
That is great. Does anybody have any questions for Chief Gerke? This is a resolution. Do I have a motion to accept the resolution, in the amount of $52,000 and from donation from the Chuck Wagon Community Fund Incorporated to the Odessa Police Department, appropriating the sums of donation of $52,000? Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion. Can somebody tell me who made the motion and the second?
I did.
Okay, we have Deidre made the motion. I have a second by Councilman Swanner.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I'm doing it for the city secretary because she said sometimes we move a little too fast and she has to be able to keep up. Sorry about that, Norma. I have a motion and a second. All in favor, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 All opposed indicate by saying nay. Motion passes. We'll move to item number 2. Consider to apply and accept funds for the City of Odessa Police Department from the 2021 HITA grant for $29,300 resolution. Chief Gerke.
Yes, this is just, again, our request to be allowed to apply for and accept grants from the HITA, which is the High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area, in the amount of $29,300. This is generally, these funds generally come from the DEA. We've been part of this organization. We work with DEA, with other federal law enforcement agencies on a continuing basis to fight narcotics in our community and the Permian Basin. And this is just an ongoing effort. These funds pay for overtime used by our officer that's assigned to the HITA and for various supplies. There is no match that the city has to come up with to help with the grant.
We like those type of grants.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so do I have a motion and a second to accept the fund for the City of Odessa Police Department from the 2021 HITA grant in the amount of $29,300? Do I have a
I'll
motion?
take that motion. So moved.
I have a motion from Councilman Mata. Do I have a second?
Second?
I'll second.
I have a motion, a second by Councilwoman Swanner. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 All opposed indicate by saying nay. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. We're gonna go to item 3, consider the purchase of 3 Ford F-550 chassis, Braun ambulances. This comes from Sid and Martin Emergency Group. Rod Hubbard.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and City Council. Good to see y'all and visit with y'all this evening. We are asking for approval of this. It will allow Odessa Fire Rescue to replace 2 of our oldest Freightliner ambulances. They're 2015 models, along with 1 brand new addition for Station 9. The build time takes about 13 months from the time the PO is issued to actual delivery. Then we get it to Equipment Services, place the unit in service, and Sid and Martin does their warranty work on it. These ambulances are, in my opinion, the hardest working vehicles in our fleet. They cover all of Ector County, and they make about 85% of our emergency incidents in Ector County. The total purchase price is $1,030,308. The 2 replacement ambulances will be funded from the Equipment Services account. They are part of that budget, part of that plan for replacement. And then the Station 9 ambulance will come out of our fire station build budget. And I will answer any questions at this time.
Council, does anybody have any questions or comments to Rod?
Chief Huber, do these fire engines have hour meters on them?
Do these ambulances have hour meters on them?
Yes. You know, that miles don't matter on an ambulance, it's hours. How many hours does it run?
I would have to ask the Equipment Services people
Okay. Well,
on the hours. I don't have that information in front of me. Sorry, Councilman Sproles.
I just, you know, it's, I was just wondering how well they've performed. If they had an hour meter, we could divide that by the cost and have an idea what it costs us per hour.
That's a good question. I know our Freightliners, we are getting away from them. That's why we're going to the Ford F-550 ambulances. We've had a difficult time getting the Freightliner ambulances maintained and serviced at the Freightliner shop. Kind of like we've talked about earlier, it gets put behind other trucks. Currently, we have 4 ambulances out of service today as we sit here. So we don't have, if we have 1 more go down, we will be short an ambulance. So that's why we're going to the Ford F-550s, because we feel more confident that the parts are cheaper, that our mechanics can work on it a little bit more, and we can get it in the Ford shop a little bit quicker.
That was really why they changed the manufacturer, but that's, I understand.
I'm sorry, Councilman Thompson, did you ask a question?
Yeah, I was just saying that was my next question is why we're changing manufacturers, but I understand.
Yeah, it was at the suggestion of Equipment Services and also us that we think we'll have better luck with the F-550s than we've had with these Freightliners.
Is that a recommendation made by Citizens of Martin? Is that?
No, sir.
Oh, so we've got some Fords already.
We purchased our first F-550 Ford in 2019. And as far as the Ford chassis, we've had really, really good luck.
Good.
Especially with the DEF part of it.
I get it.
Okay, do we have any more questions or comments for Rod?
Motion accepting bid.
Do we have a motion for Councilman Steve Thompson to consider the purchase of 3 Ford F-550 chassis, Braun ambulances from Sid and Martin Emergency Group? Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, I had about 3 people respond, so I'm just going to pick someone. I I have a second from Councilman Deidre White. All those in favor indicating by saying aye.
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 All those opposed indicating by saying nay. Motion passes. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Rod.
Thank y'all.
Okay, we're going to go to item number 4, consider contract extension with Barron Service Parts Company for on-site fleet parts management and supply. Philip?
Council, Mr. Mayor, again, this is a item that we discussed at the work session last week, and presenting before you again allows me to clarify some of our questions that were out there, and as well as field questions that the council may have. Similar to the tire contract, this is a contract renewal that we're seeking with Barron Parts Services, who's doing business as Napa Auto Parts, and essentially what this contract is for our fleet. It's an operation of an on-site Napa parts store in our shop, and we've been doing this since a little before 2012 is when we started doing this. This has been a beneficial process for us through this contract. We have the ability to pull from multiple warehouses that Napa operates across the state for part inventory. We do not have to keep hundreds of thousands of dollars of parts on inventory. Typically, we can pull parts from Napa warehouses overnight into our part location. Napa does provide us 3 employees, including a supervisor, a counter technician, and a parts runner as part of this contract. And we do not have to fund, per se, we pay their salaries through this agreement, but we do not have to pay benefits, retirement, things of that nature, which is definitely a cost saving for us. And then also it does save quite a bit of time and work processing through our purchasing department of having to issue purchase orders for the purchase of multiple types of parts, whether it's oil, anything that may be able to do with the actual fleet. As we stated last meeting during the work session, we had a not to exceed amount of $300,000. And to clarify that, Council, Mr. Mayor, that $300,000 is a not to exceed of $300,000 of the management fee, and that management fee includes the employees that are working in the parts store, and then also their financial staff on the back end of this that provide invoicing and things of that nature. The total of this contract, including the $300,000 management fee, has a not to exceed of 1.8 million. And similar to the tire store, we provided in Mr. Marrero's email last week 2 years of previous costs with Napa, and we have not exceeded that 1.8 mark there. But similar to the tire contract, we are happy to provide more information if the council wishes. But this is a 3-year contract renewal with Napa Barron Parts Services that'll take us through February 28th of 2024.
Okay, does council have any questions or comments for Philip?
Who establishes the list price on these parts?
It's through Napa's catalog. They provide a catalog to us, and there's a catalog price for being one of their partnered customers. And the parts have various discounts being one of their partner customers, and there's a 10% markup as part of the management fee with the cost.
Okay. So
So
we're
it's
not really
based on-
So go ahead. I'm sorry, Mr. Ross. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
So this is based on Napa's catalog price.
Yeah, yes, sir. They provide what they provide us is a catalog that is for their partnered customers that have contracts similar to ours, and it's a price that's not typically paid at say per se the shelf or the store. It's a price that's below that.
For the same reason I had a problem with the tire contract, I've got a problem with this one too. Until I can see, I think this is an excellent way to do this, and I think private enterprise can always do better. They can dispose of obsolete parts much easier than we can. I get that, but I would like to see a little more detail. Let me look over this letter and this email, and then I will follow up with my additional questions.
Yeah, I
Councilman
got a few questions for this also. So Philip, you were saying that the city pays the NAPA salaries of the 3 employees who are there. So are they getting paid by the city and through NAPA also?
No, sir. So basically, we're paying a contract
Okay.
price, and that's how NAPA is paying the employees.
And then, so with the management fee that we're paying, plus the 10% additional fee that we're also paying to cover the cost of them being there and whatnot, are we really getting a discount on the items, or is it just, I mean, is that pretty much a wash? We're just getting it at list price?
Council member, I think that would bring it to somewhere in the area of list price. I see, but the benefit that we're getting is that we have that on-site part counter help there. We're not having to run parts back and forth. Part of that management fee also goes to fund the truck for the parts runner with NAPA, so they're running those parts back and forth, and we're not having to allocate our staff to go and make those type of runs.
All right.
That brings, oh, go ahead, Mr. Mata, I'm sorry. Did you have another?
Yeah, so these employees from NAPA that are there that are contracted, is it all at the main building right there off of on I-20 on the service road?
801 East Pool Road, yes, sir. Inside of equipment services, there's a parts counter between the heavy and light shop that they operate. Yes, sir.
All righty. And is there any way they could minimize the number of contract employees there? It just seems like it's kind of excessive to have 3 employees there, to have a manager and a parts runner and just another person there also. I mean,
This is where I have to support the city management though, because you're going to have somebody sick, somebody, can't show up for work, doesn't show up for, anyway, I think 3 is probably the minimum you would.
Yes, sir. Council member Mata and Sprawls, we've had this conversation with the previous councils about the amount of staffing. We have looked at the possibility of reducing the staffing, and at one point towards the initial portion of this contract, we did operate with NAPA where they had an off-site manager, and that really didn't work for us. An on-site supervisor manager there did keep the efficiency there, ensure that we were getting parts. But we also have different skill sets that are at the parts counter as well. So the gentlemen that are there now, some of them have a little bit more experience with light duty vehicles. Some may have more experience with heavy duty vehicles, and so they assist us with that knowledge and obtaining parts as well. But going back to Councilmember Sprawls, when we did have that offsite manager, we had folks calling sick. We had trainings that they had to go to, things of that nature, and so that was the least amount that we were able to operate with efficiently.
my last question for this, and is just how is the inventory managed on this? Because I know having a NAPA store there makes it really convenient for the city employees to get stuff that maybe they really don't need. I mean, I know some organizations such as some other big box stores, Granger, Fastenal, to name it, some have some vending machines where they set limits on certain items. So it doesn't prohibit them from getting the item that they may need, but once they reach that limit, they have to go to a supervisor and say, "Hey, I need this," because I mean, it's really easy to rack up the amount of spending.
Yeah, Councilmember Mata, that's a great question. I will tell you, we have an asset management software, and that software is called AssetWorks, and NAPA is also on that software as well. A mechanic or an employee cannot pull apart unless there is a work order issued for a vehicle, and the supervisors for the shop open those work orders. So if someone needs windshield wipers for a vehicle, there's either the light or heavy duty supervisor issues a work order. So they can understand that if a vehicle's in there for an oil change, they don't need to a new muffler. They know that they're needing oil and they're needing possible wiper blades or light bulbs for their checks that they're getting. Now, if it's in the light shop, the supervisor knows that the vehicle's in there for air conditioning issues, and if they pull brakes, that's a flag for the supervisor to follow up on. And we in that software monitor every single part that's issued out. So if we ever want to look at a vehicle and see, okay, this police vehicle, what's been done on it, what parts have been used on it, we can pull that from that software.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Philip,
Go ahead.
it might be helpful for the council if they kind of understood what the situation at the shop was like in terms of delays and not having the parts prior to this this sort of arrangement that we have today, Philip.
Yes, sir, Mr. Moreno. So I can definitely speak on that. Going back to what we said, we did maintain an inventory. I will tell you that we're limited by space of what we can actually hold on site. That's one of the benefits of Napa. They have not only their stores here in town, but their warehouses across Texas that they can pull from. But we had a very limited storage capability on site. So for one, we weren't able to hold a lot of inventory on site. So that was usually the waiting game, waiting for parts to get in. We didn't have networks per se like we do with Napa at that time. So, Napa always has a truck coming in every day to their stores. When we order parts now, those parts are typically overnighted on that truck that's already coming this way. In other instances, we were having to pay shipping. We were having to pay expedited shipping to get parts there. So that resulted in extra costs. I think it's also something to keep in mind, and as Councilmember Sprouls has alluded to, mechanics, tire repair individuals, parts counter help. They're a very demanded service, not only in our sector, but the oil field, any sector that's out there. So it was very difficult for us to, number one, hire, but also maintain reliable parts counter help.
The comment I'm going to make is being in business for 40 years. There's certain things that are better outsourced. That have to keep up with running inventory and storage and employees and all that stuff. And if you hire a professional to do the job and pay them, make no mistake, you're paying salary benefits at $300,000. But the point is, you know what your costs are and they're fixed. And I like this approach because we don't need to be in the tire business. We're in the city business. We're delivering services for the citizens of Odessa. And so we don't need to have whole department set up to take care of all these things. And I think this is a very smart way to do business, Marshall.
Yes, sir. And I'm sorry. And Councilmember Thompson, I did fail to mention, and to go off the point that you presented, I spoke to our regional general manager with Napa, and we're not the only city that takes this same approach. They also do the same business with the city of San Angelo, the city of Fort Worth, city of Grand Prairie, Farmers Branch, San Antonio. They are working on a contract with the city of Lubbock right now, Garland, and that's just a few that he named off the top of his head. He said there's multiple cities that they do operate this type of parts counter with. So to your point, Councilmember Thompson, it is a more efficient way that we can operate. They are the professionals at it, and it expedites our processes.
Tom, that those parts, you're keeping inventory with parts and the tires. The parts get lead, the tires roll, and they roll away. And all of a sudden they're gone. So, keeping up with inventory, that's a tough job. And the right
theft is a big problem regardless how you handle it.
Yeah. But you hold somebody's feet to the fire. When you got $300,000 contract, I believe we can sure hold their feet to the fire. That's just my 2 cents.
Well, I'm certainly not opposed to this management inventory. I think it's a great idea, and it does take away the daily stress and everything from the city, and it puts it on to the vendor, which is great. I mean, let them absorb those costs, let them have that inventory cost and everything. We've had this since 2012 with them. I'd be more comfortable if we just put another bid out to some other vendor management companies that can do this also. I mean, the fees seem really excessive for this.
Well,
I move we table this for the next meeting and discuss it then. I'd like to still see a little more detail.
Yes, sir. We can do that.
Okay, so we have a motion to table item 4. Let me ask a quick question before I move on to that. Philip, do we, on an annual basis, we do an audit on this, and I know that we're doing it for the next 3 years. I mean, that's what's being considered. Is there an audit basically that measures the work loss? You know, we have 3 employees that are basically we're paying salaries to Napa, but not managed by us. And so, is there any inventory to measure the work loss time throughout those that year and then the 3 years? And then also, do we have a and I don't know, but I guess this question is a product loss. I mean, do we get any of the information on that, or is that strictly Napa's internal information?
Sure. So, Mayor, I can talk to Napa. I know they're willing to partner with us in anything that we are seeking information on, and I can touch base with them and see what their time output looks like for the production of these parts and a parts counter, and see what their audits look like internally as well.
If it's humanly possible to add it, you know, if this item happens to be tabled into the next report, maybe that'll be able to give council a better idea of when they associate the management cost to the actual dollar amount. So I have a motion by Councilman Sprouls to table item number 4. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second by Sprouls, second by Councilman Mata. All those in favor for tabling item number 4 indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed to tabling the item indicate by saying nay.
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 Okay, I've got.
For the record, may I have the nays names?
Mara Willis.
Steve Thompson. Steve Thompson.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, so the motion passes to table by 4-3. Is that correct? Okay, so we're going to move to item number 5 to discuss and consider expanding the Odessa Development Corporation board members from 5 members to 7 members. Do I have any discussion or comments on that by the council?
I'm not sure I understand.
Mr. Thompson, is that you? Is that you, sir?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I'm just saying, I just want some background why there's a consideration of expanding the board is functioning properly. I don't know. I'm just
Okay.
curious.
Let me address that, Mayor.
Go ahead, Tom.
I presented this to the mayor and the council, threw the idea out over a year ago. We do know that, and I believe, I was never on the council when it was a 5 voting member council. But I can tell you that it didn't take as many people to get ideas or things passed as it does with 7. We just saw a vote here, 7-3. I mean, 4-3. So, you know, sometimes I think expanding the board would put that many more safeguards. The other reason for doing this is before we were sworn off 2 years ago, each councilman had his own representative on ODC. Now it's voted on at large. And you know, I see no reason why we can't go to a 7-member board and go back to every councilman would have his own representative.
Councilman Sprouls, let me ask that question of you. How do you come about and how do you understand why it moved from single member district appointees to an at-large. How was that explained to you? And how was that presented in the evidence that is according to the bylaws in which the ODC operates today and it did when you got on the council 2 years ago?
Well, with 7 members and a 5-member board, it had to be voted on at large. It was not, there's no way to have 7 members other than just voting on it.
Okay.
I guess if I understood your question.
Well, the way I understand it, I mean, I was on the council that gave genesis to the ODC. And the premise was that the reason why, and the ODC had 5 members because it was a reflection of the 5 voting members on the council. It was an accountability to the community that voted to create the ODC and to apply that quarter cent for economic development, for diversification of the local economy. And so it stood until the charter amendment that allowed an at-large and a voting mayor. At that time, if you notice, across the board, most of all the boards reflect the voting members of the council. There is a memorandum, or there is minutes that indicate, and I think Councilman Mata has those, where it basically indicates that the council took action to expand the board, and it was passed, and I think it was one lead that was charged for you, Mr. Stoltz, that approved the expansion of the board from 5 to 7. It was later at a workshop where there was discussion that the expansion couldn't take place. I've also inquired to legal with Mrs. Brooks to provide a chapter in jurors where the expansion could not take place. And all the indications is that basically the action took place. It was approved by council. And so it was a council that just didn't go forward, didn't go through with going ahead and voting in or appointing 2 additional members to the ODC board by the mayor and the at-large at that time. I think the motion was made by Councilman Malcolm Hamilton and seconded by you, sir, if I read those minutes correctly. I had a discussion, 2 discussions already with West Burnett, where in fact, it was this morning when we had this discussion, and he was there and he was present, and he basically reaffirmed what I just stated. So the expansion has already taken place, but I think that we need to put this on the agenda to revisit. Basically visited with legal about this, and it was an indication that it would probably be best to discuss it and discuss the expansion and take action at this time to reaffirm what the previous council had already done. And I think, if I'm right, with the 2 years, Councilman Mata, can you speak on that? And what
Yes, sir. Yeah, I have it here in front of me. It was back in the January 8th, 2019 council meeting. I have it here.
And these are minutes.
I'm sorry?
And these are minutes of the city council meeting?
Yes, sir, they are. The motion that was made by, like you said, Councilmember Hamilton and seconded by Councilmember Spross. What it was is Mr. Lander said that the amendment would provide for existing boards to have 7 members. State laws and agreements bound some boards. The boards would be designated by each elected office. And it was passed unanimously at that time.
Did that say the ODC or did it say all boards? I'm just curious. What did it say? Just boards or?
What?
May I clarify? This is Natasha in legal. When that action had taken place, the council was informed that one of the ODC board was bound to only have 5 members at that time. So when that vote took place, council was not considering the ODC. That is incorrect. The board was able to be expanded, but at that time, council was directed by a previous interim city attorney that the board cannot expand past 5. So that's how we ended up there. And so that's why it is my recommendation to go ahead and discuss and then to take an action. I think there was a ordinance passed, is that correct, Norma, in 2019 regarding the boards? You're muted.
You're muted.
Sorry, there was an ordinance passed in regards to expanding the boards, and it does refer to, the ordinance does refer to the January 8th as a first reading and approved on the 22nd of January. There is a section under there that discusses the Odessa Development Corporation. There's a portion where it's reserved, and then the next portion, it discusses about having the mayor as ex officio to the board, as well as a council rep to the compliance committee.
And that was an action taken by the mayor and the council, and felt that that would I guess, satisfy the requirement of 7 members. But the thing is that that motion wasn't to put an ex officio non-voting, but to give each member, voting member of the council, a representative. Under the bylaws currently, it is still stated that each member of each district of the city council is to appoint a member to the ODC according to every other board, and not be by application and also by a consensus, but by majority vote, just like we do every other board. And so this is something that indicate, this is my understanding. I've met with legal about this. I've met with several members that people have been in these meetings, and that's my understanding. Am I incorrect, Natasha, in that assessment? Ms. Brooks?
I'm sorry, I was muted. Yes, the bylaws still stand because they've never been voted on. So yes, the bylaws still stand. But I'm not sure, there was a lot of background noise when we first spoke about this, but the council was incorrectly informed that they could not expand the board to 7.
Okay, so as of January in 2018, and then January 22nd, we had a first reading. Does that still stand?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your second.
Okay, so basically is we had an ordinance that was read and passed in its first reading in January 22nd of 2018. Is that correct, City Secretary Maldo?
The first approval was January 8th. The final approval was the 22nd of January.
So so basically we had a first and a second reading, so the ordinance basically exists now. So the board has already been expanded to 7. Am I correct in that assessment?
No, sir.
Okay.
The ODC board was actually reserved because at the time they were under the impression, city council, that it could only be by state law a 5-member board. And at that time, that's what council was advised, but that is incorrect. The council can be expanded, the board.
Okay, so basically then that second advisement was for you had told me is go ahead and make another motion if the council so choose to expand. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so we got that straight. Is there any other further discussions or comments? I really want to invite more.
Yeah, my comments are this. I find that the bigger the board, the more unwieldy it seems to get. The more trouble you have getting a quorum to the meetings. And I notice, as I read the paper and as these meetings have gone on the last couple of years, I notice where various people are absent a lot. And so the more people you have on the board, the more chance you have of not being able to gather a quorum. The fact that you sit on that council, that the mayor sits on that board, so to speak, as well, and one other member on the compliance committee, I believe is adequate to the way we're doing business. I just can't see. I understand the logic about having each council member have their own representative on there, but it doesn't really seem like it makes a lot of sense to me. I think a 5-member group, if you have the right 5 people, can make a very good, intelligent decision. The mayor's sitting right there, the other council members right there on compliance, and so it looks like to me that's a pretty good working relationship. Just my 2 cents.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead, Ms.
Norma,
Willis.
do most of the other board or all of our other boards represented by the 7 members?
Yes, ma'am, most of them are. There are a few exceptions, which are the boards that are not under the city, but under other organizations that were tied to their bylaws.
What do the ODC bylaws say?
I was going to say, so all the other bylaws from the boards were changed after that one vote to expand them to 7, right?
It was changed through ordinance, when allowed, like, I'll give you, for instance, the zoning board was changed. The downtown Odessa was changed. We also have, the tax increment reinvestment zone was changed, the planning and zoning was changed, and traffic advisory committee was changed, just to name a
And
few.
that leads to my point, for if those bylaws were changed after this vote was taken to represent 7 members, why couldn't the ODC board have been changed? Why weren't those bylaws changed?
We were
What
bound
made
by
them-
legal advice that it could not be changed, Mark. Our attorney at that time said it could not be changed. And so that was the legal opinion.
Which is been shown that it was
I was just
wrong
answering your
advice.
question as to why it didn't.
Right.
Mr. Grimaldo, in those 7 board member 7-member boards that you mentioned, has there been a trouble in achieving quorum? And we had a consistency of not making quorum in those 7 board members in 7-member boards.
To my knowledge, as I keep the attendance records, I'm not aware of any issues.
Thank you, ma'am.
Wouldn't the appointment of 2 more additional members to a board make it easier to have quorums? I mean, that way it would give more, it would give a more room for error if people were to be absent from a meeting. Where if you have a five panel board and you have 2 that are gone, versus where you have 7 members, you have 2 gone, you still have a quorum. Even if you have 3 gone, you still have a quorum with 7. If you have 3 gone from a 5-member board, then that quorum is eliminated.
And
Yes,
I'm
sir.
not totally opposed to adding 2 more. I would say that my concern is that as we add, and I'll just say it as I say it, but when you add a member to the ODC board, I would just caution that we follow guidelines and watch carefully, because it's a vast difference between sitting on, I'll just use myself as an example, sitting on the ODC board. ODC is directed by us and have the ability to spend far more or have say-so over far more money. So we need to be very careful as we make our appointments. We have a lot of things going on in our city that I personally would like to see finished, and carried through. So just, 5 members, 7 members, but I think it's really important that and I think we all are smart enough to know that we have to be very careful in choosing how we place those members, because it does take a significant more amount of time, energy, knowledge of what's going on in an organization or in a board such as the ODC. So I would just say be careful in that, and be mindful that not all boards are equal.
Duly noted. I would say, I would add to that, the thing is, under this current pass system, there was an article that came out that basically said something about past practice. And in that past practice, what we have found, in my assessment, is that I feel that there's some members of this current council that were not able to make an appointment in their district. When they've done so with their other board appointments, it came came to a consensus because there was a practice that was being applied that did not basically follow the bylaws. The bylaws state specifically that the board appointments be made by the council member as they, within their district or to districts. I guess in my assessment, basically, is that you wind up seeing a member of the council appoint someone that reflects their values, and you see a mirror image as best as you can possibly get to the city council, and that was the premise of creating this. And this was a commitment made by the city council back in 97, 96, 97 to the community. There is another practice that has been brought up to me that members to be appointed to the council should come strictly from the compliance committee. Well, the compliance committee and the subcommittees were not created by the council. Those committees, subcommittees were created by the ODC board in itself. And those members are appointed by ODC members. And in doing so, in applying that practice, then the council member that's elected directly by the people basically doesn't have appointment, but adheres to the member of the ODC member that they appointed. Now, each member of the council can apply whatever they wish to and how they want to go about appointing their member. But I still believe that going by the bylaws, and I think that those bylaws were carefully structured to be able to hold that accountability by the council. And I think that they need to be reviewed by the ODC to make assurances, Mayor Willis, that, that oversight needs to be there. And that accountability does need to be there. And I totally agree with that. But I also want to be able to see representation of the expanded council to be reflected on the ODC. But that's my 2 cents in that. Does anybody have any more comments?
I'd also like to say that if there are going to be changes in those members who are currently serving, I think it behooves us as a council to speak with and visit with any members that may be changing, just to see where they are. And you may want to you may be good with it. I mean, you just may be.
I have a question too.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Are you ready? So in the process, so we now have an application process, correct? And so Norma, when they fill the application, you're kind of vetting them to make sure they meet the requirements, right? Before you pass those applications on to us to do our appointments?
Yes, ma'am, they are vetted. Every application is vetted for all boards.
Okay, thank you.
That's
Okay.
that they meet the requirements, that they live in the city limits, that their name and address is correct, those kind of things. They're still on certain boards, there are still certain not personalities, but certain skills, knowledge base that we need. Even I would say, even on the arts board, I wouldn't want everybody to be an arts person. You may need an attorney, you may need an accountant, you may need someone who's a business owner. The more diverse they are, of course, the better, because you're pulling from all angles. So yes, while Norma does vet them, I don't think she would be required to vet them as far as their knowledge of business background or this or that, where you as a council person may know that, yes, they do live at this address. Yes, this is their name. Yes, they live in Ector County. In the city of Odessa. Those things are what she vets, I believe.
Mayor?
Yes.
Comment on this deal. I think, and I could probably go, but I think that
You break it up, sir.
need to continue on that ODC board. And I think it needs to be a requirement for any new members coming on the board, serve on the compliance committee first, so they learn, watch, listen, to move on to the board.
I understand, sir, but I totally disagree with that premise. Because the thing is it takes away the appointment from the city council member, where the ultimate accountability comes from. That is a process and a practice that was put together by members of the ODC which, you know, those members were not appointed by city council. Members of the ODC serve at the pleasure of the city council. And in most practices, it's always been advised to members that are appointed to finish their terms, but it is a privilege. And you know, I know that there's been a lot of back and forth about that, and I've been advised several times about that. But you know, at this point, I would have to disagree with that, simply because the accountability solely sits on the members of the city council, and that was from the beginning, and it still needs to be applied today.
I just think it's different.
Yes, sir.
On the board, with no training, no understanding of what ODC really is. You know, so you and I just got to disagree on that one.
No, that's fine. And I really believe that each member of this council has appointed in the past and in the present and the future members to that ODC board, recognizing the importance and the amount of money and the responsibility comes with that, is to appoint a proper person in this community that has the skill set to be able to serve and excel on that board. And I'm going to put that trust in this council.
Mayor,
Okay, so, yes, ma'am.
excuse me, if I could make a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to say that I strongly endorse ODC. I think we have a great committee that is in place right now. They've done dynamic things as far as the distribution of funds appropriately. I have not spoken to you or Denise or about you know, what your concern is, or what, you know, your issues are. So do you personally have a concern over ODC and what they're doing?
No, this doesn't come from any issues or any concerns. But prior to when the elections took place in the charter amendment, and we expanded the current council to an at-large and voting mayor, I went before the city council and spoke about the potential expansion of the ODC. And at that time, that council agreed that it would be expanded, and then did so when 2 months later, and expanded that board. Now, why that city council in that January of 2018 chose not to follow through, it's still have not gotten a definitive answer to that, but it's not of a concern.
I can answer.
It goes back to the original premise of creating the ODC board and the voters of this city, and saying that the ODC board will always be a reflection of the city council, and at this point, that does not exist. So to answer his question, it may be more procedural than any concern or issue at this time on my behalf.
Mayor, I think I can address part of it. And Mara and Dietra and I were there. Our city attorney at that time misrepresented the law.
Yes, sir.
And he told us we couldn't expand it. But what it says is it has to have at least 5 members. But it didn't say we were limited to 5 members.
Yes, sir.
And I'm sure he was thinking about that, and so we didn't do anything. We took no action
After it was passed.
after it's passed.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
And I wanted to say something also. I mean, I agree with Dietra in that first part, where the ODC is a very important board, and it has done a great job for us in the here recently and in the past. So I applaud their efforts. But I want to bring up too, have any of the serving ODC boards, did they come from the compliance committee? Because it's making it sound like they have to serve on, in order to be a productive ODC board member, you have to kind of go through the ropes in the compliance committee, so you can learn the ropes, so you can become an effective board member. But it's working great right now, and none of the current board members came from the compliance committee that I'm aware of.
I can speak to that.
Yeah.
Who's on?
I said I can speak to that. The going through the compliance committee was only a suggestion, and the three that are on there now, David Buchanan, I think, has served, Melanie has served, and Chris Cole have all served on the compliance committee. And when they came on board, it was a much easier, smoother transition for our board, and that's why. And it does. I'm not saying you can appoint some. I mean, the council, I guess, could appoint someone to the compliance committee. We don't have a problem with that, but the suggestion I made was it's a much cleaner transition because they've been through compliance and they realize it. Gene and I did not go through compliance, and it was a little longer learning curve for us, but that was merely a suggestion. It's not a request. I just made a suggestion that because of that transition, it was much easier for the board itself.
Thank you, Mr. Edgman.
Thank you, Mr. Edgman.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Does anybody have any further comment or discussion on this item? I see Miss Melanie's on. Melanie, do you have any comments or like to put any input? I think Gene Collins is on.
The only input I would give is that yes, right now a majority of the ODC board did serve on compliance. All three of us at one time or another served actually as chairs of the compliance committee. I do think that having served in that capacity, there was less of a learning curve for us when we joined the board. We understood the mission, we understood the process, and it seems to work well, having that compliance experience. In order to serve on the compliance committee, there are more specific experience requirements that are listed in our ODC bylaws.
Can you explain how more stringent it got? Because I've heard the latter.
What the requirements are, or how the requirements came to be.
No, you said that they're stringent. Are they more stringent today than they were in the past?
No, they're the same. They're the same, to my knowledge, is that
Okay.
they have always been since my involvement with the compliance committee, which began back in 2010.
Okay. Is there any more comments or
I think
questions?
Gene's on the line too. Gene, do you have any comments?
Is he muted? I think he's muted.
He's muted. Okay.
Okay. All right. So we've had some extensive.
Here I am.
There we
Mr.
go.
Mayor. Okay.
Go ahead, sir.
You know, Mr. Mayor, back when we first got into this phase of economic development with the Economic Advisory Council, and I served on that first council after bringing it to the attention of the city council that we needed that.
Yes, sir.
And I have been to every workshop that the municipal league is giving out. I think there needs to be some diligence even in corralling the compliance committee. A lot of times I did not agree wholeheartedly with the compliance committee because the statute says something different. Every time I would go to a meeting, there was an evolution of some of the legislation and the rules, and it made it easier for municipalities to really do what they needed to do in their own jurisdiction. So the flexibility was there. And I think it's important to be on the compliance committee, but I think it's more important to make yourself available to go to the municipal league training. In fact, the last one that was done in Abilene, I was the only member of ODC that went. I went with our city attorney and Robert, and there were some new developments even then that I was able to bring back not only to the ODC, but to the city council to help them
Yes,
to
sir.
understand that role even broader. I think if we want to stay on the cutting edge, we need to have a strong compliance committee, but we also need to stay updated on the changes in legislation, some of the court cases that have come from this where decisions have been made that expands our scope. I've learned that they want to be flexible enough so that each city can use this program to maximize their own personal needs in the community. So there are a lot of ways to get that education, and I try to avail myself to be available to bring these things back to the ODC and the council.
Thank you, sir. It's very informative, and I totally agree with that. There is many ways to get informed in that. When we created the ODC, there was no requirement that you need to be on compliance committee. Compliance committee has been expanded by the board members of the ODC, and to even interject organizations to be more politically correct and more in involvement. Have asked and checked about the attendance, and in most cases, there's been a lack of attendance. I think it is two members for every board member in the compliance committee, and so there has been an issue to a certain extent about the attendance. I don't know how, I'm sure they've met quorum, but there has been inconsistencies, and also there's been organizational inconsistencies in some of that representation. And that's why they lack representation on the compliance committee. That even makes it even more urgent that it is a practice that it's being suggested, but it is simply a suggestion. Okay,
Madam
so
President, may
yes,
I add one more thing?
yes, ma'am.
In regard to the number of compliance committee members versus quorum size, it is purposefully designed to have a large number of members with a smaller quorum requirement so that the committee can be nimble and meet quickly in order to get items in front of the board in a timely fashion. That is one of the design features that benefits ODC in general.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
It's not contemplated that every compliance committee member have an attendance requirement.
No, ma'am, that wasn't my suggestion, but I'm just saying is that it has been expanded, to equal two to per member. And, and like I said, they do make a quorum, but, there's been sometimes lack of representation because the organization is affected by having someone that is required as an ex officio to be on that. I just don't want to, split hairs and name names. I just don't think that's necessary. But thank you, ma'am. Okay, so do I have counsel? Yes.
Yes, Mayor, hold on. I'd like to make a motion, if we could, to vote on expanding the ODC from 5 members to 7 members to reflect the at-large position and the new voting position that the mayor has.
Okay, so I have a motion by Councilmember Mark Mata to expand the current Odessa Development Corporation from 5 current members to 7. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Councilmember Sprouls. All those in favor indicating by say aye, and please let's go on a roll. So each member that is voting in the affirmative indicate by giving your name.
Mark Mata, aye.
Denise Swanner, aye.
The mayor, Javier Joven, aye.
Steve Thompson, no.
Willis, aye.
Okay, so I have five votes in affirmative. Those who are opposed indicate by stating your name.
Steve Thompson.
Detroit.
Okay, motion passes 5-1 to expand the ODC board, the Odessa Development Board members from 5 to 7. Motion passes 5-2. Thank you everyone for the participation and comments on that. That was a very good discussion. We are moving on to miscellaneous item 6 to to consider and discuss and take necessary action regarding any and all issues related to COVID. Is Rod still on here? I know we're
Yes,
running.
sir, I am.
Rod, can you give us an update? I know we've had the snow apocalypse and we've had secondary boosters put on hold and things. Can you give us where we at on what we're doing at Ratliff? What's going on with the booster shots? Can you give us where we at with that right now and where we're going to go forward this week?
Well, the timing of West Texas getting all of their immunizations timing up with Snowvid 2021 was not ideal for us, that's for sure. But we're doing really well. We have we're starting early in the morning at Ratliff to do 3 days. We're doing Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday this week to finish out the first round of vaccinations. We usually get there about 6 or 7 a.m. and then we are operationally by 9 a.m. And then we go till usually 3, 4, or 5 p.m. or till we run out of vaccinations for that day. So Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday this week for first round vaccinations. And then next week, starting the first week in March, we're going to help out Medical Center Hospital with the second round of boosters. And we're going to start that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at Ratliff for second round boosters only. And then the West Texas Relays comes to Odessa, Texas and Ratliff Stadium. So we've got 2 shut down. And that is the successful exit strategy for the city of Odessa at this time. They're going to push it out to ORMC and all the clinics and from there. But I'm very appreciative to be a part of that. And the city of Odessa has stepped up big time to help in that process to take care of a lot. I think we've vaccinated over 15,700 folks there at Ratliff. So it's a lot of extremely good, appreciative, positive comments we've received at the Ratliff site.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Rod, could you also mention, I believe that the clinic on West County Road is expanding its time, that we thought they would be here, just so it's on the record and the media may get it.
Good point, Councilman Willis. Yes, ma'am. And we were told initially that our free COVID testing at Floyd Gwynn Park on West County Road was going to end at the end of February, and they'd possibly be moving to other cities or counties. But we are one of the more of their successful sites with our cooperation and the amount of people that are showing up to get tested. So they told us just recently that they're going to remain with us through the month of March and possibly through April. So that is a very good positive outcome just in the last day or two that we've received that'll allow free testing for people there at Floyd Gwynn Park.
Agreed.
And Mayor, if I could, just to Rod and to Philip, I would just, I can't say thank you enough for how the city has stepped up, how you guys have led us. And I've heard, I've had a lot of people go out to Floyd Gwynn, I mean, there too, but also out to Ratliff, and just they've said nothing but positive things about you guys, and how, even though they had to wait, how professional everybody was. And that, I've heard that from all walks of life. So I really want to thank you and Philip and everyone who's working with you guys. If you could let them know, thank you for a job well done.
Thank you very much.
And Michael as well, but everybody that's working.
Yes, there's a ton of people involved, and we always focus on customer service and the people we need to take care of. So thank you very much. I will relay that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rod. Okay, we're going to move on to item 7, appointment boards. Ms. Grimaldo.
Yes, Mayor and Council, for the Animal Shelter Advisory Committee, both Connie Coots and Joyce Trower are willing to serve again. Now, I
Okay.
would say that we did have applications that were forwarded to the council as I receive them. So there are a number of people that are interested in serving on the animal shelter as well. And those names are included by Tim Harry, Heather Quadfer, Deanna Cosper, Heather Macy, Chris Stanley, Sharon Odom, and Lori Baker. And one member is required from the city council to be a representative to the animal shelter, and currently we have 2.
Okay.
Norma, I noticed we
Wow.
still have a
That's
vacant that says welfare organization representative. Do we have a hard time filling that position?
Yes, ma'am, we do.
Okay. What's our process here? Do we have a process? Do we have something? How are we going to, are we to make recommendations, name a person? Ms. Grimaldo, can you give us some advice here?
Well, those are the names that I put forward to you, and it's going to be up to the council if they wish to keep the same board members that are currently serving, or if they wish to put on a new appointee. And we'll take this by board.
Is this board set up with this number of members? I was just counting and I don't.
No, ma'am, it's not. It's set up with more members, but the other members' terms are not expired.
So do we have 7?
There's 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 8-member board with 1 vacancy, so a total of 7. Now, I will provide this information to council. Last year, 4 board meetings were set up in November and December. Those meetings were canceled due to the lack of a quorum.
No. Rest my case.
We've only, over 2 years, we've only had 1 live meeting. Now, I know last year COVID kept it from happening, but, you know, I don't know what the problem is, but we need to have a little stronger.
Yeah, well, you know, I think that's, I mean, we have 2 members, Connie Coots and Joyce Chire, that want to basically say, hey, I want to continue on the board, but have failed to show up to 4 meetings this year. So I think that pretty much sums it up. We have some applicants. I don't know if anybody's had the time to review, but I would suggest let's go ahead and review the other applicants, and then come back at the next meeting with the recommendation.
If I may add, in the past, the council has interviewed the members if they wish to serve again. So that is another option that has been done in the past, interviews. Just quick little questions and answers for the prospective members that are interested in serving.
And also, if you don't mind, I can't remember exactly which meeting it was in November, December, but Connie Coots has attended.
Okay.
Okay, she was not able to be at all. Was that?
Okay. Well, good info.
Does council have interviews with the members, with the interested members?
No. I don't. I think we can.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
I would prefer to review their application, not interview.
Okay, I agree with that. So, Nora, we'll go ahead and skip that, and we'll come back to it as we review the applicants and come with suggestions in the next city council meeting.
Yes.
So, Mayor, how do we want to come back? Does everybody come review them and bring back a name?
We can also have each council member submit their recommendation to me, and I can count them up and report back to the council with the most votes.
That'd probably be the, yeah, let's do that. That'd probably be the easiest process.
Norma, would you email us those applications again?
Absolutely.
So I don't have to scroll through all my emails trying to find them.
Tom, you got to scroll. You retired, you can scroll through those emails.
I got the time, Tom.
Yes, council, I will be happy to send those to you. Our next board is the Board of Survey. Councilmember Thompson, do you have an appointment?
Paul agreed to continue serving.
Okay, Paul Weaver,
A reappointment.
reappointment. Okay, for the Building Board of Appeals, this board has certain qualifications. If you notice on the agenda, it's in parentheses, so that member must hold that expertise, that qualification. Mike Stahl has agreed to serve. And I have not heard responses on the other ones. Now, I will say that we did receive an application for John Mark Darville, who is a plumber that is willing to serve as that, for that particular position. Jerry Morales, who is serves as a citizen. We have 3 applications: Wayne Russell, Tim Harry, and Edgar Morgan, that are interested in serving as a citizen on that particular board. And I can forward those to council as the animal shelter, or however y'all wish to proceed.
Norma,
Follow those same instructions to send them back, send our recommendation back to you.
Yes, ma'am.
you can remove Edgar Morgan. He's moved to Dallas.
Okay, thank you. Okay, for the Citizens Golf Advisory Committee, Councilmember Thompson.
I've contacted Nova Graham, but I have not heard back from her yet.
Okay. How about the Downtown Odessa?
I've talked to Lonnie Lawrence, and he's agreed to continue to serve.
Okay, yes, sir, reappointment. For the Historic Preservation, that also has qualifications, if you can see that in parentheses. Norlene McBride is willing to serve. And Grace King is also willing to serve. I do have an application from Roland Spickerman, who is eligible to serve in the position of historian.
Have we heard from Jay Tillapaw?
No, ma'am, we left a message.
When's the last time this board met?
It's been several years, and that was part of a future discussion to see if council wanted to continue to have this commission or completely dissolve it. It has not met in quite a few years.
It's been quite a few years, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Council, do you just want to continue that same process, or later on discuss the Historic Preservation Commission?
So what would the process be to, I mean, if they haven't met in several years, obviously do we need to keep it?
That's a discussion to have. I believe that was one of the things that whether we could discuss to dissolve the commission.
So I wonder if there's any state, federal specification. Was this just created by council?
I'll research that and we'll get back to council.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Okay, go ahead and move forward.
Let's see. For the
7G.
For the MOUTD?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Thomas Blackstone does not wish to serve. Brady Ross is willing to serve. And we have a couple of MOUTD applications, Tim Harry and Susan Gentry, that's willing to serve on that board.
Okay.
Norma, does it take 2 council members on there, Tom?
No, ma'am.
Just one.
Okay. If one of them, if someone wants to take my spot, they can.
It's going out to the highest bidder. It's time to barter.
Mario, I was going to suggest you get on the Historic Preservation Commission.
I can do that.
Same process, council?
Same process.
Yes. I think you're going to get a lot of votes there, Ms. Willis.
For the Odessa Development Corporation, District 1 would like to appoint Chris Crow. And Councilmember Thompson?
Melanie Holmes agreed to serve.
Reappoint Melanie Holman.
Reappointment.
For the Odessa Housing Finance Corporation, Cruz Castillo does not wish to serve, but we have a number of applications. Lance Marker, Peggy Dean, Wayne Russell, Priscilla Contreras, and Madison Bolton. And I'll be happy to send those again if y'all wish.
Question. Does that have to be an architect?
No,
Okay. But
No,
does
but
have to be a
it does have, that board does require professional experience.
Oh, what do you mean?
You gotta have had some kind of managerial job, owns your own company. There's a list there. I'm on that board and it's got a list of things that's required.
Okay.
Council, that requires to be a resident of the city and serve or have served as chief executive officer of a company or position of an executive or senior management of a company or a professional capacity or have experience equivalent to any of the qualifications, have education, experience, knowledge, and or experience of areas of real estate, construction management, mortgage lending, investments, accounting, business management, and marketing.
Okay.
Yeah. And I do know that Lance Marker is a real estate agent. He's a realtor, and he also builds homes too. So I think he meets those qualifications.
Okay.
For the Parks Advisory Board.
Wait, Norma, wait a minute. Let's
Oh, yes,
back
sir.
up. Let's back up. Since we're, at least Mr. Mata and I know Lance, I would move that we appoint him on the board. He's the only other applicant.
Did we have any other
I think he'd be.
applicants? Have any other applicants for that?
Yeah, we have Wayne Russell, Lance Marker. Who else?
Peggy Dean, Priscilla Contreras, and Madison Bolton.
Okay, I withdraw that motion.
Yeah.
He's got, I know Lance, I just didn't know he had any other competitors.
Okay. Okay, go on, Ms. Grimalda.
For the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, Councilmember Thompson, do you have an appointment?
I do not have one for that yet.
Okay.
I've lost confidence and agreed to serve.
Okay.
Yeah, I left a message, but I have not heard back. I think you will.
Okay. We do have an.
He said yes. Sorry, I'm getting a little fuzzy.
It was my understanding that you don't have an appointment at this point.
No, plus I agreed to serve.
Oh, he agreed to serve?
Yes, he did.
Okay. Yes, sir. I have him. Blas Campos Jr. And Mayor, do you want to make that reappointment or hold off?
Casey Hallmark agreed to didn't he tell me that he agreed to be reappointed?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's a reappointment.
Casey Hallmark.
Yes.
For the Planning and Zoning Commission, Councilmember Thompson?
Yes.
Okay. Reappointment of Gary Sims. For the Tax Incentive Committee, it requires a local business rep and a council member rep. With Kevin, I left a message. So I haven't heard back.
Okay, so who's gonna jump in on the council?
I'll do that one.
Okay. Mark is volunteering before he's being voluntold.
Mark Mata to be appointed to the Tax Incentive Committee. For the Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone, reappoint Craig Stoker by District 3. For the Traffic Advisory Committee, Councilmember Thompson?
Yes,
Rodney Hurt to be reappointed. Yes, sir. For the Zoning Board of Adjustment, Councilmember Thompson, do you have?
Yes, Brooke Harper agreed to serve.
Brooke Harper to be reappointed. And Anthony Rios to be reappointed by the mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
There's two vacancies and we do have applications for that board. We have Wayne Russell, Craig Stoker, and Priscilla Contreras that can serve for that board. Now, these are alternates, so they'll be only used as needed.
I
We'll
would
send those
recommend.
in to you too.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. If I could have a motion?
Council, can we have a motion on these appointees?
Move approval.
I second it.
We have a motion by Councilman Thompson and a second by Councilman Mata. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed indicate by saying nay. Motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Grimaldo. I know that's a process and we'll continue on that process.
Thank you.
That basically got us from item 8 to item 9. Is that correct?
Oh, if we could do item 8, we'll put that
Item
list
eight.
on the screen.
Item 8. Okay, discuss and consider establishing board and committee duties for mayor and council members. You're right. Go ahead, Ms. Grimaldo.
These boards, these committees are committees that the council members serve on, and a list was provided to you for when they met and a little bit about the board. And it's a discussion for council to see what board they're interested in serving, and just discuss on which each one would like to serve on these boards.
I will stay on the Council of Governments.
I don't think, I took Turner's place on the MPO.
Yes,
That is correct.
that is correct. The Permian Basin Regional Planning Commission. I'm seeking someone, see if someone's willing to do that. That's a very difficult one for me. I Zoom it. You can Zoom. You don't have to be in attendance. You can Zoom it.
When do
I've
they
been
meet?
on the Permian
Is
Basin
that the
Regional
one-
Planning Commission.
Norma, is that the one that meets in the afternoon at 1? I can do that.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I can do that one.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. And then we've got Odessa Partnership, Motran, ex officio. ODC, we won't need an ex officio on that one. We can scratch that one off. Keep Odessa. Do they still meet?
Yes, they do.
Oh, okay. We'll take this list and see who wants to spread it out and see who wants to get on something. Not everybody jump in all at one time.
I'll do downtown Odessa.
Which one?
Downtown Odessa and the tax incentive.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'd like to stay on the ones that I'm on since I'll go ahead and do the Easy Rider, Odessa Arts, and Mayor's Drug and Crime Commission if that still exists.
It will be. It will be.
Mayor, I'll take wastewater committee.
I'm sorry?
I'll take wastewater committee.
Okay.
Odessa Partnership Management Committee.
Yeah, I'll take the Odessa Partnership.
I can do downtown Odessa.
This is Denise?
Yes.
Okay.
And I can still do the Fireman's Pension Board.
Yes, ma'am.
Bless your heart.
I was on that. I actually like that.
That's a tough one.
It is, but I really enjoyed it very much, but many moons ago.
I'll
Okay,
stay on the
so-
one I'm on. You might want to add the MPO to my list.
Yes, sir. Will.
Okay, so what do you got?
The Odessa Partnership, that was Councilmember Thompson.
Partnership? Oh, yeah.
Yes, and then the Animal Shelter Advisory Committee, do council members White and Sprouse wish to stay on it?
Yes.
Norma, can you add me? I'll get the Motran also.
Okay. Councilmember White, did you agree to serve on the Animal Shelter? Councilmember White?
You're muted.
Yep, she's muted.
I wonder you wouldn't listen. Yes, ma'am, I am. And I was wondering about this risk management committee. I'm really not familiar with that, but I can take that.
That meets on an as-needed basis.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can put me on that one.
Good.
Yes, ma'am. The easy rider, that's gonna still be council members Tom and Mara. Let's see. The water and wastewater committee, that hasn't met.
Yeah.
Right.
I want that one, please.
Okay. And the compliance committee, council, are we still gonna keep the ex officio?
I guess we could. Does anybody want to serve on the compliance committee, on the ex officio, on the,
Ooh.
I have a conflict on that day because don't they meet Thursdays at 2? Is that correct?
That meets, I don't know when they meet.
I'll do compliance.
They meet on an ad hoc basis.
yeah, I would, yeah.
I don't mind taking.
Mary, you taking that?
Yeah, I'll take that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mayor, did you say you would stay on as Motran ex officio?
Yes. No. Isn't that Councilman Mata?
Yeah, Norma, I'll do the Motran.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I have you.
I just sent you a chat to make it a little bit easier for you to list with the list.
Okay, great. Thank you. The Intergovernmental Project Committee. That hasn't met, I don't believe.
Okay, so give me a little bit of background on that one.
All I have is working with entities on joint projects that have mutual benefit.
I'll take it. I'm somewhat familiar with it.
Yes, ma'am. Keep Odessa Beautiful.
I'm still on it.
Okay. I think I have.
Norma?
Yes, sir.
This is Steve Thompson. Dale, back up top, keep Odessa beautiful or whatever. Dale Jenkins just left me a voicemail and said he would need to serve. Dale Jenkins.
Dale Jenkins.
Yeah, back up top.
That's for which one?
I just got to say it. He's up there at the top.
With Keep Odessa Beautiful.
Use that or down. That's
These committees are council reps, actual council members or mayor or council members that serve as ex officio to the board.
I'm sorry. You'll have to upside down.
I'm sorry, sir, you're breaking out. I'm having a hard time hearing.
I'm sorry, my voice is very weak. I don't have any air. The beast took my air. You think I'm kidding? Y'all wake up one morning, draw a breath of air. It's really exciting.
I can only imagine, Steve.
Yeah.
We got you.
Scroll down. Scroll down.
Scroll down.
Yeah, the appointments are. I can't remember which one it was.
It was the board appointments.
For Keep Odessa Beautiful?
Yeah, right.
Okay. I'm not finding it on our list.
Oh, I saw it.
Well,
Well,
I don't know.
Sir, we keep Odessa beautiful. The city council does not appoint the actual Keep Odessa Beautiful board members. We have a council member that serves as ex officio to Keep Odessa Beautiful.
All right.
And we've already filled those positions, have we not?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so what do we have left here? Okay, Norma?
I think I have it all.
Okay, well, if there's anything that's lagging, I'm sure you'll let us know.
And we'll let you get back on the agenda.
We'll clean it up.
Yes, sir. If I could have a motion, please?
Can I have a motion to approve these appointments?
So
I'll make a
moved,
motion to
Mayor
approve.
Willis.
I have a motion by Councilman Mata. Who was my second?
I'll second.
Was it Deetra?
No, I think it's Denise.
Miss Swanner was the second?
Yes.
All those who approve, all those, so I have a motion, a second to make these council appointments to these boards and commissions. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed indicated by saying nay. Motion passes. All right, so I lost my space. So that was item 8. Okay, so we're moving to item 9. Citizen comments and non-agenda items. Do we have anyone online that is going to make a citizen comment on a non-agenda item? Ms. Grimaldo?
No, sir, I have not received any.
Okay. So since we have no citizen comments on non-agenda items, we move to item 10, adjournment. Do I have a motion and a second to adjourn?
Mayor Willis, so moved.
Yeah.
Do I have a second? I like that. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second. All in favor indicated by saying aye.
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 Did you get that second, Norma?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All opposed indicated by saying nay.
No,
Motion passes. We are adjourned.
Good night, everyone.
Good
Have a
night.
good night.
Get some rest. Thank you very much.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.